This problem is not something new. This is actually a problem that's been going on for many years. When I was in my 20s, I was working at a gym called Squashlands, which is in a suburb called Liverpool in southwest Sydney. For those of you that don't know Australia or Sydney, it's a suburb that is for immigrants, largely by immigrants, and you won't see a lot of Anglo-Saxons there. And if you do, they're more, if the poorer ones are more in the Campbelltown regions, Mount Druitt regions, and the richer ones are in the eastern suburbs. So Liverpool is where a lot of what we would call wogs would go and settle, and there was a large multicultural base there. We had everyone from Serbs, we had Croats, Bosnians, Russians, Afghans. You had everyone, right? It was a big melting pot. So naturally at school, you'd hear 50 different languages. So your understanding of different cultures, kind of snapped in pretty quick. And for me, that was a big benefit, right? You learn how different people act, how different people work, different opinions, this and that. And somewhere along the line, you start learning to have a bit of respect for one another, naturally. Anyway, fast forward, I'm working at Squashlands. I'm working at this gym. Now, Squashlands was a rough place. This is the place where we had some of the worst, most hardened criminals come train between prison stints and whatnot. We had some people that are truly, truly rough. They would make the news in Australia. They would be hitting the headlines, and then they would be training at Squashlands. So I would deal and interact with a lot of these people. I would, behind the counter, be talking to them, saying hello, making sure the memberships are up to date, giving them their drinks, blah, 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 just doing my job, basically. And for the most part, as anyone that, has interacted with those type of people, they're mostly normal for the most part. Sure, they, have, let's call it extracurricular activities, but they weren't assholes. They weren't ever rude per se. In fact, most of the time, they were the most polite ones, right? But they kind of did their thing. You could have a chat with them, you could have a laugh, and they were just normal, everyday guys. But then we had this other group of people. And this group of people was stone cold, right? Cold as ice. These were the guys that would later be on the Australian headlines for being the Aussies that went over and joined ISIS for beheadings, right? These was what they made the headlines for.